to RVP, over 31 recruits, almost over 20,000 in production. And folks, we've got about 7 days left or 5 days left until midnight at Wednesday. He's just straight killing it. You'll all love him. He does great presentations. He's gotten so great at speaking. Give it up for the amazing Mike O'Connor!
Awesome. I'm here to talk about generating activity, and I think Brooke's getting on me because I slowed down a little bit this last week, so I got to speed back up. But I know, right? You're like, I'm all over it. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about how to generate activity and like what you need to do to be getting consistent new contacts. If you can build the skill of getting new contacts in this business, you're basically unstoppable. Appointment setting is super easy after you learn it. For those of you that have been on a presentation, people love what we do. We can always help them. We have the best product out there. So that's really not the hard part. Those are easy things to learn. I would say if you can learn how to get in front of people, it's just game over. And that's what we really have been doing. So next slide, please. So when I think about activity, like, you guys got to understand, like, the differences from your activity. There's a reason, like, I understand the reason I put in so much activity, and I've been so high. And last month our team scheduled like 370 appointments, is because we understand what activity gets us, right? So here's a daily discipline. Like, the difference is between setting 2, 3, 4, and 5 appointments a day. And this is really what I think about, and I'm gonna blow your mind here in a couple slides, but look at the difference in monthly appointments, right? You know, 5 a day versus 2 a day. How many of you said, well, I got 2 and you made a lot of calls, but you know, I got a lot of voicemails. I just, 3, 4, screw it. Right? Who's done that before? Right? Whoever's not raising your hand, raise your hand. Y'all, I am. Right? We've all done it at one point, right? And so you got to realize, what are you doing to yourself? What is the good and the bad? You just look at it as like, I don't have to make any more phone calls. You're not looking at what you're losing out on. You're losing out on a ton of appointments. Look at the difference if you were at 5 versus 2 over 5 years. That's 4 or 5 times more production. That's 4 or 5 times more income. That's 4 or 5 times more opportunities to find a good recruit, right? And so, next slide, please. So this is a little bit different, like the closes, right? How many people you close based on the 50% complete rate, a 50% close rate with your business, right? Versus 2 and 4, right? You said 2 a day, you're going to close 15 every month. Now that's good, right? That's like 7 recruits, 8 sales, some mix and match of that, right? For those of you that aren't closing 15 pieces of business every month, it just means you're not setting 2 appointments every day. How long does it take to set 2 appointments? Right? You make a few phone calls, you get 5 voicemails, you're like, oh, it's just not for me today. It's not my day. I'm just getting voicemails, right? Guess what? People don't answer the phone sometimes, right? You just call until people do. But the thing is when you get on the phone, you set the appointment almost every time, right? After you get good at this. So the difference, look at the difference, right? You set 4, you double it. Now you're at 30 pieces of business. That's 15 recruits, 15,000 in premium. You're making maybe, anywhere between 5 and 10 grand that month, right? Off of setting 4 appointments a day, that maybe takes like an hour. Next slide, please. Right, so this is where I really want you guys to think, right? We just looked at the differences if it was just you setting appointments, right? But here's the power. If you're setting 2 appointments, you close 15 pieces of business, you have 7 recruits that come in, right? What are they doing every month? The multiplication. But you set 4, now you get 15 recruits. It's just multiplying, right? It's all about the multiples. This business grows exponentially, right? When you work the numbers quickly. And so that's what I understood from Ian is I wasn't focused literally at all on the end result. Like, people keep asking, wait, where are you at? I honestly don't know my numbers. Like, Josh was like, how much do you have outstanding? I'm like, I don't know how much I have outstanding. I don't know, like 4,000 or something like that. And he's like, how do you not know? I'm like, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on generating activity. I'm focused on building the front end of the business, because I know if I keep putting things in, something's going to come out. Right? It's cause and effect. The cause of you getting big numbers, or the effect of getting big numbers, is the cause of you putting appointments on the board. Right? The more appointments you have, the more you're going to close. That's all I know, right? That's why Ian has the docs in the first place, right? He wants to track what everyone's doing so he can guesstimate where he's at, what numbers are coming, and it's not really guesstimating, it's just a mathematical thing. It's the law of large numbers. So you have to think, the more activity you're doing is exponentially growing. How fast do you want to build this business, right? Next slide, please. So how do you do this? How do you consistently get new contacts? Because there's some of you in this room that if you had a ton of contacts, you'd call all day, right? There's some of you that don't care. But there's some of you that just want it so bad, you just don't know what to do to get new contacts. And this is what tonight's for. So 5 to Stay Alive. Who's heard of that before? Anyone? Okay, so this isn't completely new. Sorry, I'm not going to shock you with some unbelievable, information that's secretive to everybody. It's just stuff that you need to be doing. It's the fundamentals of this business. And the reason you aren't doing it is a lot of you are too comfortable at your job, right? If you work in I met lots of other insurance agents going out and about, and they have to self-generate leads too. What do you know, right? What do you know? Crazy, right? And they have to do this stuff, otherwise their family doesn't get food. You have to treat it like that. So next slide, please. 5 to Stay Alive. 5 renewable sources of getting new names and numbers, new contacts, right? So you need to have things that are in your weekly schedule that are gonna, you're gonna be farming for new contacts, right? You need to do things to get you new contacts on a consistent basis. I'm gonna say something completely mind-blowing. Every business in the world does this. Okay, crazy, right? Crazy. They don't just talk to the same people over and over again, right? It's crazy, right? So that social media, that's a big one that a lot of you guys can do, right? It's a super easy. You guys got to have a great positive image on social media. So if someone looks at your page, they want to be like you, not be like you, right? So look at your page. Do you want to be like that person, or are you trying to strive to be someone else? Present yourself the way you want to be presented, and you want people to think of you, right? And I'm like, well, don't judge a book by its cover. Sorry, welcome to planet Earth. People do that, right? That's not. And so if you want to present yourself in a positive manner, and you can send private messages to people. There's some of you in this room that were basically recruited over this Facebook message right here, right? It's very simple. For those of you that don't have it, I've been teaching on it every week for the last 4 weeks because it got us 50 recruits last month. And everyone that is doing it, Mel's like, I'm like, Mel, you do a great job. You guys got like 15 recruits last month. She's like, I'm using Facebook, and kind of gives me a funny grin. I'm just like, yeah, it works, right? It's because you're constantly looking, right? That's the thing. Most of you aren't even looking. Facebook allows you to look all day. Right? Next slide, please. Networking groups, right? Who of you are actually part of a networking group that meets weekly? Not enough hands. That's all I need to say, right? So this is one thing that Ian preaches, where you can get half of your business that you really need, is to be a part of some networking, a group of people that meet every single week, one from every type of profession, and the whole goal of the group is to pass referrals. Who thinks that sounds cool? Who thinks that's going to bring them money? Right? Otherwise, the groups wouldn't exist, or people wouldn't go to them, right? So business networking groups. LBN, local business networking, Chamber of Commerce, right? So these are things that you may or may have not heard of, but you can Google them and literally go and visit groups. It's as simple as saying, visit chapter and typing your name in. Who can click a button and type their name in? Okay, so this is a choice. It's not like a skill that you have to develop. It's a choice to go. Next slide, please. Networking events, right? So these are events that aren't on a weekly basis, but they are meant for prospecting. They are meant for getting together. It's meetups. Who ever heard of the app called Meetup? This is an app you can download on your phone, and people post networking events all on there all the time. You just have to look them up and go. Who uses a smartphone? Okay, so you are able to do that. Local business networking events, church events, right? Churches hold events all the time to network, to get to know the other members, right? This is perfect for you guys. Local networking events. Who can go on Google and type in local networking events? Wow, this is just mind-blowing information, right? Next slide, please. Out and about prospecting, right? You're out and about, right? You're at the gym, you're at church, you're at restaurants, right? You see a sharp waiter, hey Benny, man, you did a really great job serving us. Do you plan on keeping your options open, or do you plan on waiting tables for the rest of your life? You keep your options open? Awesome, man. I'd love to grab your name and number because I may have a great opportunity for you. What's your name? Your name's Benny, right? What's your number? Okay, cool. I'm in and out in 30 seconds, right? All the time. You can do that anywhere. At any cash register, anywhere you go. That's something that you guys could do. Could you guys talk? Yeah. Awesome, you can do that. Next slide, please. Steam appointments. You can call it. Maybe there's a friend that that doesn't want to get involved in the business. Or maybe there's a client or a guy that doesn't want to be a client with you. That's okay. Call him up and steam him. Say, hey man, I know this isn't for you, but I'd love to sit down with you and share a little bit more about what I'm doing and who I'm looking for. Maybe you could help me with a salary referral. Would you give me a hand? Oh yeah, awesome. 30 minutes. right? You steam them. Say, who do you know is the best in sales that you know? Who's the best teacher you know? Who's the most enthusiastic you know? Who's the most ambitious you know? Who's the most money motivated person you know? Right? All you guys can do that. You're just not actually putting in the work to do it, right? It sounds too easy. Well, it is really easy. You just got to do it, though. It's doing it a lot, though, right? It's doing it over and over. These are consistent things you're doing on a weekly basis. Next slide, please. Referrals, right? So when you're on client appointments, people love to help other people, right? People won't do things for themselves, but they'll do them for you, okay? It's crazy how people think. But asking people for referrals, right? You're at an end of an opportunity appointment and that person didn't want to be recruited, that's okay, right? Ask them who they may know, right? Steam that person, right? Referrals. You're on the client, people are like, I'm not sure who I could think of for referrals. Man, who do you know that just had a baby? Who do you know that just got married? Who just bought a home? Who do you know just switched jobs? There's a 401k rollover waiting to happen, right? Who do you know that you care about in your family that you want to make sure is properly protected? These are all questions that you can ask and get 5 solid referrals right there. Next slide, please. Business cards. Who goes around, at Coney Islands or grocery stores or by cash registers? Who sees business cards, right? Okay, those people put those business cards out because they want to put themselves out there in the community, right? Why else would you leave your business card there, right? They're trying to put themselves out there to get more business. So you a simple call. Hey man, how's it going? I run a local financial services business in the area. I picked up your card at so and so. I was wondering if you keep your options open for more referral business. Oh yeah, I'd love to grab a coffee with you for 20 or 30 minutes. Boom. There's a connection. Next slide, please. Is that my last slide? That's my last slide, guys. This is a pretty dry presentation, I'm not going to lie. But it is exactly what you need to know. Okay? If you guys are serious about building this business, these are things that you can't compromise on. These are things that need to eventually be done, right? Because eventually your list needs to continue to grow. Would you guys agree? Yeah. Right? Who's going to do some of these things next week? Right? Who knows they should be doing these things but hasn't been doing them? Right? So you guys owe it to yourself to keep doing it and tell yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm tired of it, right? You need to treat this like your family relies on it, and trust me, you will do it. See you at the top.